might be watching at home. We have Deb Hughes, who is the president of the Pittsburgh East Rotary Club, also a financial advisor with Deborah Jones, so hopefully she'll get us all going on the right track tonight with our finances as well. So thanks to Deb for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to Shawn, assistant dean at the business school at University of Pittsburgh, and the author of 40-Year Career. An excellent book. I read it on my cruise while I was working out at the gym, and definitely made the workouts go very fast. So thanks to Shawn for being here as well. Deb, I want to start with you. Just being an active leader here in the Pittsburgh area, serving as the president of the Rotary Club, how does being active help you in your professional life? How does it motivate you to keep working hard and move forward in your professional life and your civic life?
Yeah, good question. First, we say hi to everybody. I don't know if I individually spoke to everyone, but hello. And thanks, Tom, for having me. First time I met Tom was actually at our Rotary meeting.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, that's great.
He wasn't in our club, and he came, I think it's all about getting involved. Yeah. And that was definitely a fortuitous meeting, because then he became a huge member of our club. But to your point.
By involvement, not size.
Yeah. To your point, one of the things that, not connected with each other, how does getting involved help?
How does it help your professional life? Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I always say to myself, because we're honest with ourselves, sometimes we feel maybe tired, exhausted from your work or school or whatever you're doing, and it may be easy to convince yourself, oh, I don't need to do that, or that doesn't make sense. Through my experience, I've learned to remember these two words: always go. Always go. Always go. Because there are so many times where, I felt like, oh boy, I don't want to go to this or that, and sometimes I didn't, and I don't know what might have happened. But the times I did go, I maybe made that one connection with someone who made a big difference in my business, maybe not that week or that month or even that year, but making the connections in the community beyond just the goodness of the work you guys are doing in all the different organizations you mentioned, professionally, making sure that you know people who are important and you might be able to help one day, and make sure they know who you are and what you do. So that's why I said those two words, always go. What is it, 80% of success is just showing up?
Yeah, absolutely. And on a night like tonight too, it's cold outside, there's a million, I know that for all of you that are here, there's a million other places you can be, but you showed up, hopefully meet some good people, get some good advice from the people, the folks on our panel tonight. And a lot of times it is who you know, not always if you have the best resume or the best background. A lot of times in your career and in your professional life and civic life, it is who we know that really helps move us forward in those endeavors. So great advice. Thanks, Deb. Sure. How about you, Shawn? What kind of advice are you sharing with your students at the MBA School of Pitt? How do you think people can move forward in their careers through civic involvement?
Well, one of the things when you were talking about volunteering and getting involved, I probably wouldn't have had a professional life had I not gotten involved. I lost my first job out of college, wasn't sure what I wanted to do while I was in college, and then after college, lost my job because we were downsized, and I just called up I thought the career services thing was something that was interesting, so I called up 3 schools in the area and said I'd work at 3, and 2 of them told me no. Which was pretty good for self-esteem. But I mean, literally something. I mean, back to your point about even just my benefit for my personal self-interest of uncovering a career opportunity that I might not have never been aware of. It was just something as simple as calling 3 schools up in only 5 minutes. But I will say it stung a little bit when people told me no. I couldn't do 3. But I think that's just it. You do have to put yourself out there. I think all too often people expect opportunities, whatever they are, personally, professionally, to fall in your lap. And a lot of people aren't willing to sort of put themselves out there. I think it's just important to play the field, go out there and be involved in different activities. You're always meeting people, and I think it can be incredibly beneficial.
Now I'm going to move into a little bit more individualized questions for each of you. Dad, as the president of the Rotary Club, I know Ben's a fellow Rotarian, Ben Holland. And like I said, everyone's hopefully a potential Rotarian in the future. But what is the Rotary Club? What does the Pittsburgh East Rotary Club do? What are some of the projects that we're working on?
Okay, let me ask the question.
Yeah.
Who's heard of Rotary before Tom? Show of hands, be honest.
Good. All right, almost 100%.
Okay, you were right. He's got to say And when you heard of Rotary, or when you think of Rotary, what comes to mind?
Service above self.
Except the Rotary.
Reserve the bus stuff.
Great.
Coming together to serve the community.
Awesome. Anything else? That was a good answer, because what I usually hear when I ask that question is, that's the organization for my grandpa. That's the organization my grandpa was in. And maybe it was, and maybe it still is, but it's also for everybody in this room. The real thing that binds members of our club and the greater Rotary, which is about 1.2 million or so around the world, is this common interest in doing good and coming together to help each other. So some of the things we do around here, we fight hunger through EECM, East End Cooperative Ministry. We fight homelessness by helping them. Our club every month serves a meal for men who don't have anywhere else to sleep. So at a shelter, we'll go and serve dinner for them. And not only do you get this sense of real, you really feel blessed when you go to do one of those things, you also recognize that even though you're helping them, the situation is really difficult for them. They can always need more help. So it's eye-opening. It really is. And it's some of the things that we can share in our club after we've done one of those things. It's a way to bond. But that's just an example of what we've done.
So there's a lot of sorts of, there's also the business end of it too, what Brandon alluded to. Just when our computer had come and crashed, and Michael Bragg was here with us, the fellow Rotarian, I did not think in any way that his computer would ever be fixed, but Michael Bragg and his colleagues at computer fellows fixed it, in a couple of days. So
I can vouch for that too.
Yeah. So Rotary can also be excellent for business networking as well.
Well, I will say, just in our club, which is a small and growing club, they're computer guys, they're nonprofit people, they're lawyers, bankers, I'm a financial advisor, so they're business owners, restaurant owners, so it really is a nice mix of people.
Definitely. Shawn, for you, now your book, anytime anyone writes a big book or a book, it's a big endeavor, right? It's a big chunk of your life that it takes up to write the book. Can you tell us all a little bit about the process of writing, courting your career, what drove you to write the book, how that process went for you?
Sure. Working with college students and job seekers in general, a lot of people really didn't grasp the job description, which is pretty basic. When you really drill it down, it's writing resumes and cover letters and meeting people. So I was trying to always find a different frame of reference as a different context to frame the advice. And so I was at the University of North Carolina, I was meeting with students. The dating metaphor just sort of, I don't know how I got it. I thought back of all the ones that I tried before that failed, I still haven't figured it out. But when I started using dating metaphor with job seekers, it resonated. So that was sort of in my head, and I really never aspired. When I went to the University of Pittsburgh, and this is another thing, I tested into basic rating, which is like the lowest rating possible in college. I mean, the course is called basic rating. I don't think they call it basic rating anymore. That would hurt people's feelings.
Now you're a big author.
Yeah, and so it was something that I never aspired. I never enjoyed writing, and the whole book just came that I thought there was something there, and I had it in my head, and I said, I was going to type it out. I also didn't like to edit, which isn't good to write books. Sure. So I was sending out this proposal that was in a state of disarray, and then I get rejected. And the good thing about writing books, if you're trying to shop with authors, or publishers, is when they reject you, you have to send a self-addressed stamped envelope. So unlike in a job search where you never hear anything, like you have to pay them to send your stuff back. And then when I get rejected, I would look to see if they folded the page back and did they really read it at all. And one time I even got a rejection flyer that was a copy of a copy of a copy. Like you couldn't even send me like a
Right.
So it was mainly out of necessity. Like I worked with people, I thought the dating metaphor really seemed to work, and I just sat down at the computer, and then the rest I just went from that.
I mean, I mentioned earlier that it's a labor of love, and I think any time that you write a book, you start your own business. We were talking about a little bit about starting your own business, run for political office, whatever it is, you have to have that drive, that passion that, if it's 3 in the morning and you're driving back from a speaking event, or 2 in the morning when you're editing your book, or, if you're working these incredibly long hours, you have to be that passionate about your subject to be willing to do whatever it takes to move it forward, to get it done, and to make sure that it's successful. So the book turned out great, though. Like I said, it's very enjoyable reading. It's good reading, something that all college students I really think you should check out. Probably we would all benefit.